Hi, I'm Charles with Anicap. The story begins as a boy named Hibiki runs for his life. He's being chased by a monster, and he tells it that he isn't worth eating. Hibiki assures the beast that he tastes awful, but it's no use. Hibiki knows that screaming won't get him anywhere, but he doesn't have any other option. He just appeared in this area, and he has no clue where he is. Now he's being chased by a ferocious creature, and he has never seen anything like it before. Just then, Hibiki hears a strange voice, and it says that it will just have to appraise the beast. A stat screen reveals that the beast is a horned rabbit, and it's level 1. Hibiki's really freaked out by the voice, so it wonders if he would like to turn off voice guidance. Being left alone is the last thing he wants, so Hibiki tells the voice not to leave him. Suddenly, Hibiki trips, and this allows the monster to catch up to him. Unfortunately for the beast, it crashes into Hibiki's backpack and ends up getting crushed. Elsewhere, an elf girl wanders the forest when she hears a voice. The voice tells her that something precious has arrived, and she can only wonder what this means. Back with our hero, he once again wonders where he is. He has no cell phone service, and the voice from before has disappeared. Hibiki is starving, but he decides against eating the rabbit. He has no way of starting a fire, and he doesn't even know if it's edible. Just then, the voice once again says that it will appraise it, and another stat screen appears. The girly voice reveals that the rabbit meat is edible, and it's delicious in a stew. It doesn't look very appetizing in its current state, but Hibiki decides to take it with him, just in case. Hibiki still wants to figure out where the voice is coming from, and he wonders if it will respond again when he has another question. He asks what this bag is in front of him, and the voice once again says that she will appraise it. A stat page appears, and the girl explains that it's a bag of materials that do not exist in this world. Hibiki looks at the sky and asks what that is, and the girl says that there's nothing to appraise. Hibiki then asks the same about the ground, and the girl explains that it's called the Maze Eater. It's level 273, but there are no more details. Hibiki wonders if this is a mistake, so he tries it again. She responds the same way, so Hibiki is horrified when he realizes that there must be something in the ground. Hibiki wonders if he can be appraised, and he is amazed when he sees his own stat screen. It displays his name and says that his job is appraiser. Hibiki can't understand any of this because he's just a normal high schooler. What is really confusing is that there's the word provisional next to appraiser. The voice isn't answering any of those questions, so he wonders what the voice is. The girl explains that she is his status support, but she cannot answer any questions that relate to personal information. Hibiki then looks at his skills, but there are too many to grasp. Instead, he decides to try them, and he starts with the one that sounds the coolest. Hibiki imagines the coolest version of himself as he uses a skill called Expert Eye. Unfortunately, it doesn't work, so our embarrassed hero moves on to the thing he should have started with. Hibiki invokes the tutorial, but the voice explains that it's already running. Hibiki wonders what that means, but he just brushes it off. He determines that it's time to look at the world map, but he fears that it might be huge. Hibiki's disappointed though, when the map is actually tiny. The map seems to be tracing the route he's taking, and it reveals that he's been walking around in circles. After some exploring, Hibiki's delighted to find a road. It's the first one he has seen, and it means that he will finally be able to get out of the grasslands. Unfortunately, he loses his balance, and he crashes straight into the brick road. Just then, the voice reveals that Hibiki has gained a title. Hibiki can't wait to see what it is, but it says that he's the castaway in an isekai. Suddenly, a new monster appears, and this thing is way more terrifying. The monster is scared as well, but our hero's in far more danger. Luckily, an arrow comes out of nowhere and eliminates the beast. This is the first person Hibiki has seen since coming here, so the voice says that she will activate automatic translation. She explains that this skill will apply to all conversations and texts. Hibiki tells the voice that she can explain it later, but the elf girl wonders if he's talking to her. Hibiki thanks the elf girl for saving him, and she says that it was no problem. She introduces herself as Amalia, and Hibiki introduces himself back. He can only stare at her ears, and he realizes that she must be an elf. Amalia confirms this, so Hibiki assumes that she's a cosplayer. Amalia has no clue what he's talking about, and it becomes clear that our hero doesn't understand his situation. The elf girl realizes where Hibiki just came from, and she can only wonder how he got out. Hibiki doesn't understand the question, so she asks what he was doing in the Maze Eater's grassland. He doesn't even know what that is, and Amalia is shocked to hear this. This means that Hibiki went in there without even knowing what he was getting into. Hibiki explains that it wasn't by choice because he just suddenly appeared there. Hibiki wonders who she is, so the voice says that she will appraise her. Hibiki is stunned as this reveals that Amalia is a real elf. This appraisal also makes Hibiki realize that he's the only one that can hear the voice. Amalia doesn't seem like she even knows that she's being appraised, which means that he's the only one that can see the stats. The appraisal reveals that Amalia is 56 years old, and our hero can't believe it. Amalia explains that a maze eater is a monster that camouflages itself as a grassland. It won't directly attack its target, but it waits for its prey to get exhausted from being lost, then it consumes it. Hibiki is shocked because he had no clue that he was so close to being eaten. Amalia takes our hero in her arms and tells him not to worry. He is safe now, and she compliments him for being so impressive for a child. Amalia assumes that he's around 10 years old, but Hibiki reveals that he's 16. That's way older than he looks, and she can't believe that this tiny human is actually an adult. That night, Amalia apologizes because Hibiki's still hurt about being called a child. He doesn't know what's going on, but apparently 16-year-olds are considered adults here. After they enjoy the meal Amalia cooked, Hibiki wonders what this place is. Amalia is shocked by the question, but eventually she explains that this is the kingdom of Habrashtia. Hibiki says that he comes from a place called Japan, but she's never heard of it. This only makes our hero realize that he really is in an isekai. Amalia can tell that he must be really lonely, especially being so far away from home. She once again tells him not to worry and says that she will take him to the city. As he sleeps, Amalia thinks about how trusting Hibiki is. They just met, but he doesn't seem to be suspicious of her at all. She has never seen clothes like his before, and he's kind of a strange kid. There's something mysterious about him, so she determines that he must be the precious thing that she was told about. As they sleep, we get a look at how Hibiki ended up in this world. He was enjoying some tea with his friends and telling them about how he's an adult now. His friends were surprised when he described the aroma of the tea he was drinking, but Hibiki explained that it was only natural for an adult like him. Hibiki was down on himself because while he has gotten older, he still hasn't gotten any taller. His buddy named Taiki said it didn't matter because all the older girls were still into him. As an example, the girl at the bakery only gave extra treats to Hibiki. Then there's the girl at the grocery store who only ever smiled at him. Summer break was coming up, and it was the last day of school. Hibiki was entering his classroom when a bright light flashed in front of his eyes. Hibiki wakes up, and he thinks about how all his friends are probably worried about him. He notices a bunch of green orbs floating in the sky, and he wonders what they are. The voice appraises them and reveals that it's a spell. It's a magical barrier used to watch over a specified area. It was cast by Amalia, and it triggers an alarm if an intruder is detected. Seeing magic only confirms that it's an isekai, so Hibiki wonders if he can get back home. He looks at his own stats again and wonders what job even means. He uses a dictionary skill that he has and sees that his job was assigned to him by God. Appraiser is an occupation with the rarity rank of B. It comes with the appraise ability, which allows him to identify a target's abilities and traits. It doesn't provide combat skills, so it's a non-combat job. There is no information on why it says provisional, so our hero is still confused. The next morning, Amalia remembers that she just rescued a kid. She remembers to call him a man because she doesn't want to insult him. Hibiki wakes up and gives Amalia the button that she lost while sleeping. He couldn't help but notice that it popped off, and Amalia becomes embarrassed. As they continue their journey, Amalia explains that they're headed to a town called Lowell. Once they're out of this forest, it will only take them half a day to get there. Hibiki can tell that there are monsters in this forest, but Amalia tells him not to worry because she will protect him. She's still impressed because Hibiki was able to sense the nearby monsters. Hibiki explains that it's all thanks to his world map skill. Amalia nearly loses her mind when she hears this because that's a skill with a AAA rarity rank. Hibiki has no clue what that means, so she explains that it's an extremely rare skill. Amalia demands to know what his job is, so he reveals that he's a provisional appraiser. The word provisional makes her wonder if this is some kind of joke, but Hibiki explains that he doesn't understand it either. Hibiki wonders if his map skill is really that great because it only shows him where he's been and if people and monsters are around him. Amalia is stunned because Hibiki can't fathom how helpful that is for staying alive. It's incredibly useful, and any adventurer would give anything to have it. Amalia is then horrified when Hibiki doesn't even seem to know what an adventurer is. He says that of course he knows what that is, but he has to ask the support voice. The voice explains that an adventurer is a contractor belonging to the Adventurers Guild. Their primary work is capturing and eliminating monsters and collecting materials. Amalia realizes that she shouldn't be surprised because she has known what Hibiki really is since yesterday. She has determined that he's a clueless ignoramus with no common sense. She apologizes for forgetting that, but this is even more insulting. She obviously doesn't understand how hurtful she's being, so Hibiki wonders if she has any friends. This insults Amalia now, and she says that of course she has friends. Hibiki says that he is her friend now too, and Amalia is caught off guard. Hibiki casually checks his map and sees that there's a crystal horn rabbit nearby. Amalia is stunned to hear this, and she demands to know where it is. Hibiki doesn't think it's a big deal, but Amalia explains that crystal horn rabbits are far different from the normal ones. A crystal horn rabbit's horn is very difficult to get, and it can be used to make cure-all potions. Those are incredibly rare and can be sold for 200 gold coins. They find the rabbit soon after, and Hibiki uses appraise on it. It reveals that the little creature has a skill called Escape. Amalia is ready to approach it, but Hibiki explains it also has a skill called Detect Presence. This is no problem for Amalia because she has an ability that can suppress their sound and smell. Hibiki says it's amazing, but she points out that he's the amazing one. His world map skill detects monsters that are hard to find, so any party would love to have him. Hibiki doubts it because he has a non-combat job. Amalia says that it's not a big deal, and he would just leave the fighting to other party members. He should just stick to the backline support and focus on avoiding danger. Amalia says that she would like to form a party with him, but she quickly takes it back when he doesn't hear her. She thinks about how she doesn't need companions, and it's not like she's lonely or anything. She says that she doesn't need friends, but her actions say otherwise. She plans to get the horn of the horned rabbit, and she imagines how cool she will seem to Hibiki. Amalia vows to get the rabbit, and Hibiki just assumes that she really likes money. As she prepares for the hunt, Hibiki wonders where her arrows are. Amalia explains that her job is a spirit archer, and she's able to turn wind into arrows. She fires a powerful shot right at the bunny, but it manages to dodge it. Amalia is horrified, and she can't believe that it dodged her full power shot. She determines that as long as the bunny has the escape skill, they have no chance of catching it. Hibiki wonders if they can prevent it from using its skill, and Amalia gets an idea. When the rabbit is attacking, it can't use any skills, so that will be their best chance. Hibiki gets an idea of his own and says that the rabbit will be vulnerable if he can get it to attack him. Amalia fears that it will be dangerous, and there's no guarantee that the rabbit will fall for it. Hibiki tells her not to worry because he appraised the rabbit, and it revealed that it's really stupid. Moments later, our heroes manage to corner the rabbit, and it immediately rushes to attack Hibiki. It's completely vulnerable now, so Amalia is able to land her attack. They needed to use their magic and skills to make it happen, but Amalia is glad that it worked. All it took was cornering it to make it attack Hibiki, so Amalia determines that the rabbits really are dumb. However, this means that the rabbit considered Hibiki to be really weak. She wonders if our hero will really be able to survive, and he is shocked. Luckily, the voice reveals that his job level has just increased, and so has the level of his appraisal skill. Amalia explains that he gained experience, so his levels increased. Hibiki points out that she was the one that defeated the beast, but she explains that he participated as well. He used his appraise skill to make a plan tailored to her skills and magic. This means that they accomplished this task together. Elsewhere, we see that the god is pleased to see how far Hibiki has gotten. He has accomplished his first task, but this is still only the tutorial. At the Adventurers Guild, a girl named Ivel has just finished registration. She explains that she already has her first job lined up, which is to find something very special. A while later, Hibiki and Amalia arrive in Lowell City. Amalia covers him up because his clothes are too conspicuous. They plan to sell the horn from the rabbit so they can buy Hibiki some new clothes. They should get at least 200 gold coins from it, so they might even be able to get some weapons and armor. Hibiki wonders how much a gold coin is worth anyway, but that just makes Amalia think he's strange again. Hibiki asks his status support voice instead, so she gives him the conversion. 1 gold coin is worth around 10,000 yen. That's a lot of money, so Hibiki doesn't blame Amalia for getting so excited. Just then, Amalia politely tells her new companion that he should try to refrain from sounding like a clueless, naive idiot with no common sense. She's only looking out for Hibiki because there are people that will try to take advantage of him. Amalia didn't say it in the nicest way, so Hibiki determines that she probably doesn't have any friends. At the Adventurers Guild, some adventurers wonder why Amalia formed a party with a child. Amalia admits that he might look like one, but he's actually an adult. A party called Silver Banner tells them not to pay the others any attention because they always act like jerks. They leave, and they wish our heroes good luck. Amalia tells the receptionist named Jewel that she has something to sell them. They are taken to another room, and Hibiki's amazed by how shredded some guy is. The guy can tell that Hibiki's a bodybuilding fan, so he shows off his muscles. He declares that it's the culmination of all his efforts and perseverance. His name is Balls Deliard, and he's the guildmaster. Hibiki really looks up to him, but the girls don't understand at all. Hibiki says that he doesn't get the same results when he trains, so Balls recommends for him to train his latissimus dorsi muscles first. The girls get annoyed after listening to all the training talk, so they put an end to it. Balls is amazed when Amalia shows him the horn, and he offers to buy it for 400 gold coins. That's twice as much as Amalia predicted, so Hibiki assumes that she will be happy with it. He is shocked, however, when Amalia tells Balls not to take her for a fool. She refuses the offer and says that she won't sell it for anything less than 800 gold coins. The two of them negotiate back and forth, but Amalia is hardly budging from her price. She reminds Balls that she can go to the Adventurers Guild in the capital to sell it, so Balls is forced to offer her 700 gold coins. Amalia is delighted with this amount, and Jewel says that they will have to deduct it from Balls' salary. Amalia is really pleased with herself, and she is sure that this will make Hibiki ask to start a party with her. After Amalia has a wardrobe malfunction, the guys are kicked out of the room. When alone, the support voice tells Hibiki that his tutorial skill has reached the level up requirements. The tutorial skill is a skill that is given to those whose survival rate is low. It allows the user to receive help from a god so that they can learn the knowledge and skills required to survive in this world. Hibiki hears a guy's voice, but he assumes that he just imagined it. Hibiki determines that this skill is meant to protect him, and he realizes that it's thanks to the god that he made it this far. The guy's voice tells Hibiki to keep revering him because it encourages him to work more. Hibiki is sure that he heard the voice this time, and the guy's voice reveals that he's the god supporting him. He's talking to Hibiki directly, but he can't do it all the time. He says that he will do his best to support Hibiki, but it's up to him to take care of himself and to stay alive. Hibiki has a lot of questions, but the god leaves. The support voice then declares that with the increase of his tutorial skill level, the support provided by the guide will end. Just then, Amalia returns, and she is told that she has a designated quest. She seems concerned by the letter, and she apologizes to Hibiki. She has to leave the city immediately, as there's no way she can refuse a request from her hometown. Amalia can't take him with her either, so this is where they will part ways. Hibiki's disappointed, and he wonders if Amalia is the guide that the voice was talking about. Elsewhere, the girl named Ivel continues her search for that special thing. She's having a hard time finding it, but she gets an idea. As Amalia prepares to leave, Hibiki assures her that he will be okay. She has helped him so much already, and he doesn't want to be a burden. Hibiki explains that he's going to try and be an adventurer now. He saw that there are quests even non-combatants can take, and it gave him hope. Amalia is sure that they will see each other again, and she tells him that he can keep her cloak until next time. Hibiki says that she might need it if she has another wardrobe malfunction, and she just runs away. After they say goodbye, Amalia bumps into Ivel. Amalia explains that she's in a hurry because she has to return home on short notice. Ivel can tell that she's talking about the elf country, and she reveals that she's headed that way too. After Amalia left, Hibiki spent almost all of his time sleeping. His phone has died, and Hibiki still hasn't found a way to go back to his world. The god hasn't spoken to him since that one day, and he knows that he can't tell anyone his secret. He doesn't want people getting suspicious, so he has decided not to talk about where he came from. Before going to eat dinner, Hibiki thinks about how all he has is the money from selling the horn. It will run out eventually, so he has to find some work. Hibiki wonders what he's even capable of doing, so he looks at his stats. He questions how good his stats really are, and the support voice advises him against solo combat. Hibiki's delighted to see that he gained another title, but it's not so good. It's called Older Lady Killer, and he has no clue what that means. He also has some new skills called Contract and Medical Book. The voice explains that Hibiki can learn the contents of the medical book by perusing its pages. If he expects to carry out high-level medical procedures, then she recommends that he reads every page. She warns that he won't be able to stop midway, but Hibiki isn't worried. He says that it could be useful, so he wants to read the entire thing. The voice lets out a sigh, and she commences the medical book reading. Hibiki wonders if he'll even be able to read the entire thing, but it's not what he thinks it is. The entire contents of the book are forced into his mind, and he screams in agony. Elsewhere, a maid named Stelia finds Amalia. Amalia greets her loyal maid, who has come to retrieve her. Amalia introduces Ivel, and Ivel assumes that they're in a party now. A few days later, the support voice announces that the study of the medical book is now complete. Our exhausted hero then reminds himself that he's supposed to go shopping. He gets some new armor and thinks about how learning that medical book was really tough. The voice then explains that different skills have different methods of acquisition. Hibiki thanks Status Support San, and he gets tired of calling her such a long name. He wonders if he can call her Sapo-chan, but she goes quiet. It becomes clear that she likes the name though, when she says that Sapo-chan agrees to his suggestion. Afterwards, the Silver Banner Party barges into the Adventurers Guild. Their leader is in bad shape because he and a Silver Ruby Wolf took each other out at the same time. He's bleeding non-stop, and his friends hope that the Guildmaster will be able to save him. Unfortunately for them, they are told that Balls is out of town. They explain that they tried every type of healing magic they had, but it was no use. Hibiki sees that the bleeding is really bad, and he wonders if he can use the medical book skill to help. Sapo interrupts and says that she has determined that there's a chance. Hibiki asks everyone if they will let him help, and they wonder if he's a healer. Hibiki reveals that he's actually an appraiser, and they doubt that he will be able to help. He explains that he has a medical skill, so they decide to give it a shot. Hibiki executes the skill, and Sabo initiates the medical book skill called Examination. This allows him to detect that the guy has Dirith poison in his body. It's a substance found in poisonous herbs, and it will make it difficult to stop the bleeding. He only has about 5 minutes left, so Hibiki wonders how he can treat him. Sabo explains that it will be necessary to restore him completely, including the limbs he lost. She recommends the use of Hypercure and Perfect Heal. These are high-level skills, and the required magic power is 650. Unfortunately for our hero, his MP is at 56. The others are concerned, so Hibiki reveals that they can't stop the bleeding because of the poison. First they need to remove the poison, then they must restore his arm and leg. Hibiki desperately wonders if anyone can use Hypercure and Perfect Heal, but they can't. There are only 4 minutes left now, and Hibiki thinks about what he can do. Just then, Sabo recommends that he use a technical skill called Contract. By asking supporters to temporarily transfer MP to him, Hibiki can perform treatment using the collected magic power. A verbal contract will be sufficient, and he will be able to use the high-level skills. Hibiki understands, so he asks everyone to enter into a contract with him. He explains that they will simply borrow him some magic power, and it will allow him to heal the leader. The others have never heard of anything like this before, but there's no time to explain. They are desperate to rescue their friend, so they agree to form the contract. They manage to transfer 174 magic power, but it's still not enough. Jewel wants to help as well, so she offers to form the contract. Sabo explains that it's possible, and Hibiki just has to declare the addition of more parties. Hibiki says that he will add another party to the contract, and this allows Jewel to help. She adds another 273 magic power, and Hibiki now has enough to use Hypercure. Hypercure cures the poison, so Hibiki uses Perfect Heal next. A bright light emanates from the leader's body as Hibiki goes beyond his limits to heal him. When it's done, Sabo declares that the leader's lost limbs have been restored. Full body treatment is complete, and everyone is relieved. Our hero is completely exhausted after pushing himself so much, and he collapses. Hibiki then dreams about how he was scolded by one of his friends. She was upset because he was always doing things without thinking first. There was that time that he saved the drowning dog, and the time he saved a cat that was stuck on the roof. His friend said that people won't always be there to save him, so he needed to be more careful. Just then, Hibiki is woken up as Sabo tells him that his job level has increased from level 2 to level 5. His technical skill contract is increased from level 1 to level 2. Hibiki then explains to Jewel that he's feeling better now and he apologizes for being a burden. Jewel says that he isn't a burden at all because he saved her younger brother. Her brother is a leader named Jade and he's also very grateful. Hibiki doesn't take all the credit as he points out that he couldn't have done anything without everyone lending him their strength. Jewel counters by saying that it was only possible because of him and he should accept their gratitude. Jewel then reveals that she has issued a gag order regarding this matter so word won't spread. Hibiki is relieved, but he wonders why she did it. Jewel explains that having the ability to use Hypercure and Perfect Heal is unheard of. If word of this got out, it's guaranteed that someone will attempt to exploit Hibiki so they can make money. To avoid this, Jewel recommends that he join a party of adventurers. He would be much safer if he had friendly combatants around. Hibiki doesn't know if he will be able to stay in the city after this, and he doesn't want to bother anyone else. Hibiki knows that he's a non-combatant though, so it might be a good idea to have someone around. Jewel reveals that there's another way, and that is by hiring a bodyguard. In a prison somewhere, a girl holds on tightly to a terrifying beast. The beast tells her not to worry because he will tear anyone to shreds if they try to hurt her. A while later, Hibiki meets with a guy named Ajar. Ajar is the owner of the Ajar Company, and Hibiki tells him that he's in need of a bodyguard. Ajar shows him a lineup of bodyguards, and he tells him to pick whoever he likes. None of them meet Hibiki's standards, so he passes on all of them. It has nothing to do with their strength, and it's actually because Hibiki wants someone with more magic power. When push comes to shove, Hibiki would like to use Perfect Heal and Hypercure from his medical book. Ajar says that he will go get someone more suitable, but Sabo thinks that Hibiki should look for someone himself. Hibiki gives Ajar another chance, but this guy is a real weirdo. He says that he can smell the scent of financial fortune on Hibiki, and Sabo appraises him. It turns out that Ajar has a skill that allows him to sense how much money a person will gain in the future. Hibiki notices a dark hallway, but Ajar warns him about it. He explains that the options over there have some flaws, so he wouldn't recommend them. They are not suited for work or for battle. They're not able to return to their homeland, so Ajar allowed them to stay at his company. Not being able to return home sounds familiar to Hibiki, so he wonders if they're in the same situation as him. Hibiki says that he would like to see them, and Ajar really loses his mind. The smell of fortune got even stronger after Hibiki said that he wanted to see the mysterious pair. They arrive, and Hibiki notices that one of them is a wolf. He wonders why they are caged up, so Ajar explains that the wolf went on a rampage while trying to protect the girl. It was a misunderstanding, but he had to put him in a cage because those are just the rules. The girl has been appraised, and it revealed that she has magic power. Unfortunately, she can't control her magic, so it bursts uncontrollably without any warning. The wolf angrily tells Hibiki to get away, and our hero is terrified. Sabo appraises them, and Hibiki notices that some of their stats are hidden. Sabo uses Hibiki's expert eye, and it detects a falsification of stats. Hibiki has no clue what Expert Eye does, so he has to check his dictionary. It reveals that Expert Eye is an inherent skill, and it has a rarity rank above SSS. Simply put, it's the world's ultimate appraising eye. It's unprecedented for someone to have this skill, and it's only given when the god feels like it. Hibiki can't believe he was given such a rare skill, and he says that the god has gone too far. Sabo uses Expert Eye and reappraises the pair. This shows Hibiki their real stats, and he is shocked. The wolf has some double S rank skills, but what's most surprising is that he's a level 95 hero. As for the girl, it turns out that she will become a sage. Her status says out of control magic, and it's called Raging Sanctuary. Her powers can't be controlled, so it'll eventually lead to her self-destruction. This skill was granted by the god as a trial, and Hibiki can't believe it. He wonders how the god could give this kind of terrible power to such a small girl. The god simply says that it couldn't be helped because it's a trial for a sage. Hibiki then thinks about how these two have more than enough magic power. His only concern is if he's allowed to make a hero and a sage join his party. The god responds and tells Hibiki to do whatever he wants. Just then, Sabo recommends that Hibiki use a skill called Relief Measure. The wolf has a curse over him, and the skill will allow Hibiki to remove it. Hibiki makes his decision and tells Ajar that he will purchase them as his bodyguards. A jar nearly leaves this earth as the luxurious scent of fortune is so intense that it's starting to choke him. After buying the pair, Hibiki takes them to the forest. The wolf named Claude wonders what kind of terrible thing he will do, but Hibiki explains that he isn't going to do anything bad. He simply wants to help, and he will start by healing Claude. To do that, he says that he will need the help from the girl named Lillian. He needs to borrow her magic power, and she says that she will do it if it can heal Claude. Claude is suspicious though, and he assumes that this must be some kind of trap. Lillian tells him to stop because this is her chance to heal him. Claude has been protecting her for the longest time, and now she wants to be the one to help him. They are ready, so Hibiki explains that in order to heal Claude, they need plenty of magic power. He asks Lillian to enter a contract with him to share her MP. Lillian eagerly accepts, so the contract is formed. Hibiki immediately activates his medical book and uses Perfect Heal. Claude then screams in agony as his horrific wounds are healed. His arm and leg grow back, and Lillian is finally relieved. Claude is also grateful, so he thanks our hero. He feels much better, but something still doesn't feel right. Hibiki explains that he expected this because Claude is still cursed. Claude is stunned to hear that Hibiki knows about his curse because it's undetectable even to an appraiser. If Hibiki knows about the curse, Claude realizes that he must also know who he really is. Hibiki confirms this as he points out that Claude is a hero. He also knows that in the future, Lillian is going to become a sage. No one should have access to this information, so Claude can only wonder how Hibiki got this power. Hibiki reveals that it's because the god gave him the expert eye ability. Claude is even more shocked now because it's the divine eye that can see the truth. Hibiki doesn't waste any more time, and he uses relief measure on Claude. A dark force emerges from Claude, and the chains holding him down are revealed. The curse doesn't seem to want to go down without a fight, but Hibiki's relief measure is extremely powerful. A pair of scissors appear in the sky and come crashing down into Claude. Hibiki doesn't even understand what's going on, and he wonders if he just ended Claude's life by accident. Luckily, Claude is still alive, but Hibiki notices that his skill only cut one of the chains. The god tells him that this should be expected because Hibiki's relief measurement skill is still only level 1. Hibiki then vows to level the skill up so that he can cut all of Claude's chains. Claude, however, is stunned by how much better he feels. He isn't fully recovered, but some of his strength has returned. Claude takes a knee, and he apologizes to Hibiki for how rude he was. He has been cursed for quite some time, and it cost him everything. He lost his strength, his reputation, and even his soul. For allowing him to recover even just a small part of it, Claude says that Hibiki has his deepest gratitude. Because of this, Claude would like the honor of performing the Ceremony of Allegiance. It's a ritual in which Claude will devote his soul to Hibiki. He will swear to always be by his side and protect him. That sounds okay to Hibiki, so he allows it. Sabo recommends that they use the contract skill for the Ceremony of Allegiance. Contracts have the power to hold party to their promises, and it's always useful. They enter the contract, and this makes Claude very happy. With that settled, they begin the ceremony. Claude declares that from now on, Hibiki will be his lord. He promises to protect Hibiki for the rest of his life, and with every fiber of his being. Hibiki only has to say that he allows it, so he does. Sabo then announces that the Ceremony of Allegiance has been formally accepted by the spirits, and loyalty has been established. Our heroes then amazed as the two of them receive crests on their hands. The crest is given by the spirits, and it's a sign that Claude's loyalty has been acknowledged. The guys look forward to working with each other, and Lillian says that she's really happy. Elsewhere, Amalia sees that her maid is getting really tired. She says that they can rest at a nearby hot spring, and Stelia looks forward to it. However, Stelia quickly changes her mind. Going to the hot spring means that they will have to disarm themselves. Lowering their guard around someone they don't know so well might be too dangerous. Amalia says that she's being paranoid, so they will go to the hot spring. Back with our hero, Hibiki explains that he can't use his higher rank skills without their help. The others understand now, and they say that he can count on them. Hibiki is glad, so he forms the sharing contract. Because of this, Hibiki's grimoire goes up another level. Claude points out that Hibiki has been talking to himself, so he wonders what that's about. Hibiki reveals that he's actually talking to a voice that teaches him all kinds of things. Claude is in disbelief because he realizes that Hibiki must possess the tutorial skill. It also means that his title must be the Wanderer from Another World. Claude doesn't know much about the other worlds, but he has heard that they exist. He is still stunned because all this means that Hibiki was isekai'd. Claude explains to Lillian that being isekai'd means that Hibiki has come from a place that is impossibly far away. Hibiki hopes that this doesn't change anything, and Claude says that it doesn't. He will remain loyal to Hibiki no matter what. Still, he can't believe that Hibiki's in possession of the tutorial skill. Hibiki wonders if it's really that big of a deal, and the god assures him that it's not. It clearly is a big deal though, as the god says that he's exhausted because he's using a third of his power on Hibiki's tutorial skill. Afterwards, Claude explains that there are 11 gods in this world. The chief god is considered to be the first, and Claude thinks that this is the one that gave Hibiki the skill. Tutorial and Expert Eye are divine blessings only bestowed by him. Hibiki's grateful for the god giving him his powers, but he can't help but be worried about Lillian's situation. She has that raging sanctuary skill, and it sounds really harsh. This is the first time they're hearing about this, so they wonder what that is. Hibiki explains that Lillian has a skill that destroys her with immense magical power. Hibiki wonders if it was a good idea to tell her because she got really depressed. Claude explains that it was because of that power that she was shunned by her family. She was then sold away as collateral for a loan. Hibiki blames the chief god for giving her such an awful skill, but Claude says that he doesn't think it was the chief god. Instead, it must have been the god of magic, because she is in charge of anything that has to do with magic. Up above, the god of magic stares daggers at the chief god. He seems to have messed something up, so the god of magic makes him pay. She can tell that Lillian is suffering because of her skill. Unfortunately, once a skill has been granted, even the gods can't easily remove it. Claude is stunned as he realizes that Hibiki is speaking directly to the god of magic. She reveals that Hibiki is really lucky because he possesses her skill called Grimoire. With that, Hibiki can adjust Lillian's magic power. Hibiki doesn't know how to do it, so she reveals that everything will be handled automatically when he activates Grimoire. The god of magic beat up the chief god really good, but that's not enough for her. She wishes that the god of the underworld would take his life so he can be reborn as a serious chief god. The others are glad to hear that when it comes to Lillian's powers, everything will be okay. Just then, Sabo announces that Hibiki's tutorial and expert eye skills have gone offline. Tutorial's fake control is temporarily suspended, and expert eye is temporarily unavailable. Hibiki doesn't understand what's going on, and he just hopes that the chief god is okay. Up above, the god of magic can't shake the strange feeling she has. It's really bothering her because she feels like she's seen Hibiki before. Moments later, Hibiki uses his Grimoire skill on Lillian. To everyone's surprise, this creates a cat out of thin air. Her name is Veen, and she explains that the god of magic sent her to teach about magic control. Everyone ignores the serious stuff because they just want to pet the cat. However, every time Hibiki pets Veen, something happens to Claude. Hibiki points out that he felt a strange aura coming from Claude, but he assumes that it was just his imagination. Veen explains that she is the Grimoire, and she is also a mighty sacred beast. She was created by the god of magic, and she tells Hibiki to leave everything to her. Hibiki pets her again, but this really sets Claude off. He really hates this little cat, but he apologizes for losing his composure. No one else seems to notice how angry he keeps getting, so Veen wonders if there's something wrong with all of them. At the hot spring, Emilia wonders why her father sent Stelia. Unfortunately, Stelia wasn't told about the details. Amalia then wonders why Ivel isn't getting close to them. Ivel seems to be hiding something, but she turns to tell the others that they are friends. A while later, Claude gets all geared up, and we see that his chosen weapon is a spear. Hibiki thought that heroes always use the sword, but Claude explains that with his build, a spear is easier to use. As for his armor, Claude tries to avoid all attacks, so as long as his most vital parts are protected, that's enough. Also, if he wears too much armor, he ends up getting hot. Lillian gets some new clothes as well, and the shop owner says that it will be 25 gold. This is shocking to everyone, but Claude says that it's a great deal. Lillian doesn't want to be a bother, so she pretends like she doesn't need it. Hibiki tells her not to worry because her safety is more important than money. He even tells her to pick out a staff, but deep down he knows that their situation isn't so great. If they don't complete a quest soon, they're in danger of going broke. Just then, Veen cries out because she doesn't want to be forgotten. She wants something too, and the shop owner reveals that the collar she wants is 15 gold. After buying it, Veen declares that it's time for her basic training course. Hibiki was hoping that they can make some money first, but Veen says that they need training. Claude is fine because he's a hero, but Hibiki and Lillian lack the fundamentals to be proper adventurers. Veen reminds Hibiki that she's his grimoire, so she will take care of everything. Hibiki wonders what a grimoire even is, so Sabo explains that it's a technical skill with a AA rarity rank. It allows Hibiki to acquire all sorts of knowledge and abilities pertaining to this world's magic. Hibiki gets really excited as he wonders if he can even learn to fight with magic. To his disappointment, Veen says that he can learn some household magic. Hibiki was hoping for stuff like magical attacks, but Veen doesn't give him a straight answer. Veen goes on to explain that she's a great sacred beast created by the god of magic herself. Her training begins, and their first task will be to get Lillian's magic under control. This will require registering Hibiki as the accountable person. Hibiki wonders how they will even do that, so Veen bites his hand. He is now the accountable person, but Veen tells Lillian not to worry. Her MP is unaffected, but the power of her magic has been reduced to 10%. This is where they will start her training, so they can slowly release her full power bit by bit. Next, Hibiki will have to learn magic power circulation. In order to wield magic, a person should excel at controlling magic power. Magic power circulation is an exercise where two people hold hands, feel each other's magic power flow, and then learn how to control that flow. Hibiki is lost, so Veen just tells Claude to send magic power to Hibiki. Claude tells him to focus his mind, but Hibiki doesn't even know how to do that. Veen tells him to just close his eyes, but there's something more important. She reminds Claude that Hibiki doesn't have much resistance to magic, so he should only send a little to him. The process begins, and Claude screams like a maniac. Magic power flows into Hibiki, and he screams as well. He opens his eyes to find that he's now in a strange place. An elf girl greets him, but she calls him Claude. Hibiki is shocked as he realizes that he has turned into his wolf friend. Hibiki plays along, and he somehow knows the girl's name. It's Anastasia, and he admires her beauty. Claude has been by her side since they were little. Anastasia taught him many things, and they fought in battle together. They experienced so much with each other, and Claude thought that it would always be that way. Unfortunately, he was wrong, as Anastasia betrayed him. She was the one that took his arm and leg, and Claude could only wonder why. Anastasia didn't explain, and Claude screamed in agony. Hibiki wakes up, and he wonders why he's staring at himself. Our hero has completely lost himself, as he still thinks that he's Claude. Luckily, the others are able to remind him that he's Hibiki, and they are his friends. He wonders why he thought he was Claude, so Veen explains that he sank deeply into Claude's consciousness. Claude apologizes because he let too much of his magic flow into him. Veen scolds him because it's exactly what she told him not to do. Veen is a devious little cat, as she wonders if Hibiki saw anything interesting in Claude's consciousness. She's looking for some good dirt, so she wonders if anything embarrassing happened to him. Unfortunately, Hibiki doesn't remember it well, and it just feels like he saw something beautiful. Hibiki wonders what it was, and he also remembers Claude calling out someone's name. Later, we find Hibiki as he's in the middle of training himself to learn household magic. He asks Sabo to show him his stats, and he's disappointed to see that he hasn't learned it yet. Household magic is magic that helps with trivial everyday tasks, and you need the aid of spirits to learn it. If you emit magical energy while doing housework, fire spirits and water spirits gather the emitted magical energy. Once the spirits are satisfied, they will teach you household magic. Hibiki has decided to take the initiative by doing chores. Unfortunately, he isn't even sure if what he's doing is working. Just then, the others arrive, and Claude knocks over a bucket of water. It turns out that Claude is kind of clumsy for a hero, but his friends say that it's okay. Hibiki gets it all cleaned up, and he wonders if he's learned household magic yet. The answer is no, so he continues cleaning. He ends up cleaning the entire hallway, but Sabo says that he still hasn't learned it yet. Tanya is delighted to see how clean the place is, so she says that she will give Hibiki an extra serving of dinner. Everyone rushes to go eat, and Claude knocks over another bucket of water. Later, Lillian focuses really hard as she tries to control her magic. Claude says that Hibiki should do some practical training, but he doesn't even know how to use a sword. That's why Claude determines that he should learn how to use a bow first. Hibiki gives it a try, but his attempts at shooting arrows are pitiful. Claude goes into training mode, and he tells Hibiki how to do it right. He needs to stretch out his back and draw the bow properly. It's still really hard to do, and Hibiki never manages to strike the target. It's clear now that archery is no joke, and Hibiki can't believe that Amalia made it look so easy. Claude tells him not to be upset because it's like this for everyone at first. Hibiki wants to take a break because his hands are really messed up now. Claude reminds Hibiki that he has the medical book, so there's no need for a break. They will simply resume training after Hibiki has healed himself. Their training continues soon after, and Hibiki begs for someone to save him. Elsewhere, Amalia wonders how Hibiki is doing. She is feeling pretty good as she thinks about how shocked Hibiki would be if he saw her walking around with an actual friend. They arrive at a fork in the road, but Amalia says that they should avoid the shortcut. She doesn't want to go to the ruined fortress that's up ahead, so Iva wonders why. Amalia explains a rumor that says that the souls who haunt it play tricks on anyone who approaches it. Iva gets an idea, and she says that they should go there. It could be fun, and those are the kinds of places where you find treasure. Stelia is hesitant, but Amalia points out that she's running out of money. Stelia wonders what happened to all the money she got for the rabbit, so Amalia explains that she stored it somewhere safe. Stelia is still worried, but Ivo tells Amalia that they will be fine as long as they stick together as friends. Back with our hero, Lillian continues training, and Hibiki makes some dinner. Lillian would like to help him, so he has her get the seasoning. It was a little bland at first, but now Lillian says that it's delicious. Dinner is served as Hibiki explains that it's horned rabbit skewers and veggie mushroom soup. They all dig in, and it's so good that they want second servings. Hibiki is shocked though when he first tries the soup, and he wonders if Claude cleaned the mushrooms properly. He didn't, so Hibiki fears that he didn't do his other job well either. He wonders what happened to the apples he gave Claude to make dessert, and Claude says that he's ashamed. He reveals that cooking is not his forte, and we see that he didn't peel the apples very well. They're an absolute mess, and Lillian tells him that he shouldn't hide his mistakes. Hibiki points out that adventurers are good at butchering monster bodies for food. Claude says that he's an expert at it, so they can count on him for all their monster butchering needs. Unfortunately, when it comes to cooking, Claude's knife skills are level 0. Hibiki saying this only brings Claude more shame, so he blames the curse. He declares that once the curse is broken, he will be way more helpful. This makes Hibiki wonder who cursed Claude in the first place. Unfortunately, Claude's background remains a mystery, as he says that he doesn't know. Afterwards, Hibiki thinks about how so many things were so much easier in his other world. He decides to devote himself to what he can do here, so he can get home soon. Just then, Sabo announces that Hibiki has just learned a skill called Bubble Wash. She also has a warning for him, and says that he should use his world map. Hibiki checks it, and is shocked to find that a monster called the Rushing Boar is coming this way. It looks really angry, so Claude steps up to confront it. He uses his mastery skill called Precision Strike, and he unleashes an incredible power. It strikes the beast, and Claude defeats it with that one attack. He warns everyone that the smell of blood could attract other monsters. They could be swarmed soon, so they need to take care of the body. Veen tells Lillian that it's her chance to try out her magic, so she gets to work. She uses a water magic spell called Odor Isolation, and it cleans the boar. It's Claude's turn now, and he wants to teach everyone how to butcher an animal. Back with Amalia, her and the others have arrived at the fortress. Iva wonders where their treasure would be, and Amalia goes on ahead with Stelia. While alone, Iva pulls out her mirror. It reveals that this area truly does have restless souls. Just then, Amalia screams as she has found tons of treasure. Ivo goes to check on them and finds that they're just being tricked. Ivo tells the souls to be gone, and she uses her power to set her friends free. Meanwhile, Hibiki's exhausted as they just finished the butchering. He remembers that he can use Bubble Wash now, so he gets ready to try it for the first time. Everyone is stunned because he's basically going to be experimenting on humans. Claude is then terrified as he finds out that he will be Hibiki's first test subject. Hibiki screams like he's releasing an energy wave, and everyone else screams in terror. Our hero continues his battle cry as he unleashes his most powerful spell. Everything ends abruptly, and we see that Claude is covered in bubbles. The bubbles disperse, and Claude feels like a totally different person. This spell didn't just get rid of the dirt, it also fixed his tiredness. A while later, Hibiki admits to his friends that they don't have a whole lot of money right now. Claude points out that they have spent quite a lot, and on some rather valuable things, like Veen's collar. Hibiki determines that it might be time for them to start taking on some jobs from the guild to make some money. Veen doesn't see a problem with this, and Lillian says that she would like to try it. Claude then says that the magic training has helped both Hibiki and Lillian get stronger. However, since they are just starting out, they will have to begin with rank F quests. A little later, they arrive at the Adventurers Guild, and Jewel officially registers them as a party. She's glad to see that Hibiki found some comrades, and she hands him a huge stack of quest requests. Hibiki wonders why there are so many of them, so Claude explains that when you're doing quests that offer little compensation, common sense dictates that you take several at once. You will never make any money otherwise, so Hibiki says that they'll take them all. Jewel then shows them one more quest, and Claude immediately says that the rank is inappropriate. The quest is a capture quest, and the only lead they have is a tail. Hibiki wonders what this person they're supposed to capture did, and the guild worker named Mitri explains that they're a bandit who often targets the wealthy. Hibiki doesn't think they'll have anything to do with someone like that, so they take a pass on the quest. Moments later, we see that Hibiki is out in the field hunting a rabbit. He spots his target that's roughly 20 meters away, and he wonders if he's good enough to hit it. Our hero is then completely exhausted after many attempts, and after finally landing a shot. Claude says that ideally it would take one shot, but this still gets him a passing grade. Jasta and Vina and Lillian arrive, and they're carrying a big haul. They picked a bunch of Mechikachika fruit that they happened to find. Vina explains that they can be used as path markers when you get lost in the mountains, and Lillian proudly presents them. She demonstrates how they work by launching one at a tree and leaving its mark. Hibiki is impressed, and Claude says that they should take a rest. As they do, Hibiki thinks about how he must have arrived in this world right before summer break started. He and his friends were talking about going somewhere together, and he wonders how he can never return to his own world. He has to find some sort of clue, but for now he has no idea where to start. Meanwhile, Amalia and Ivo discuss how they're almost at the border. Amalia says that they're coming to the end of their journey, but Ivo is quietly frustrated. She still hasn't found what she's looking for, and she wonders where a certain woman's soul went. Amalia then turns to Ivo, and she offers her a travel amulet as a token of their friendship. If anything ever happens to Ivo, the spirits will let Amalia know, and she will come to her aid right away. Ivo acts touched by this, and she thanks Amalia. Deep down, Ivo thinks to herself that she can pretend to be Amalia's friend a little longer. Back with our hero, Hibiki decides that they should splurge a little today and get something delicious to eat, since they did earn quite a bit on their quests. This brings back a memory of when they submitted the quest to the guild. Mitri was suspicious because it didn't seem like something an F rank group would be capable of. She even asked if they bought the item somewhere, and Hibiki was offended. It was a legitimate haul, but Hibiki didn't expect her to be so suspicious of them. Just then they run into Balls, and Hibiki's happy to see him. Balls immediately looks at Hibiki and wonders if he has bulked up since they last saw each other. Hibiki isn't really sure, but before he can answer, Balls says that he's going to teach him an effective way to train his muscles right now. Claude, however, immediately steps forward and stops him. He introduces himself as Hibiki's knight and declares that when it comes to Hibiki's training, he has entrusted that task to him. Hibiki's caught off guard by this, and things begin to intensify. Balls disagrees with Claude, and he says that from what he can see, Hibiki definitely doesn't have enough muscle. He says that Hibiki's going to ascend the steps to adulthood now, and more muscle is always good. Claude argues that excessively bulky muscles slow your movements, and building muscle naturally is the best approach. Balls fires back and says that Claude seems to be missing some muscle up top. Balls rips his shirt off like an absolute maniac, and an intense battle breaks out between them. Their battle causes tons of damage everywhere, so onlookers immediately clear the area. Strangely, a girl stays behind and stares at Hibiki. Hibiki notices that Claude is losing, so he asks Sabo to appraise Balls so he can see what his stats are. The appraisal reveals that Balls is a level 75 paladin with some absolutely insane stats. His skills are on a completely different level, and Hibiki determines that he's unbelievably strong. The battle rages on, and Claude is getting overpowered. Balls tells him to just give up, but Claude refuses. Eventually, the two have a realization, and they both acknowledge each other as worthy opponents. Just then, Jewel arrives, and she's horrified by their fight. She immediately uses Cold Cascade to douse them both, and the fight comes to an abrupt end. Veen calls it brutal, and Jewel wonders if she just saw a cat talk. Just then, a woman runs by, screaming that there is a thief. Veen asks Hibiki where his bag is, and he's shocked to realize that it's gone. Jewel points out that he didn't have anything on him when she arrived, and Hibiki says that it was there just a second ago. Their money was in that bag, so the timing couldn't be worse, since they were planning to treat themselves to a good meal. Jewel suspects that it might be the work of the bandit that they were recently made aware of. They still don't have much information on the thief, but they know that this person makes their tail look like a snake or uses it to tickle people. Also, their targets are always wealthy people. Moments later, Hibiki looks at the wanted poster and he wonders if the drawings are even accurate. Hibiki and Lillian are sitting at a restaurant and Hibiki's now dressed in women's clothes. He knows why he's dressed like this, but he can't help but notice that he looks pretty good. Vina explains that the plan is to use Hibiki as bait to lure the bandit. Since the bandit targets wealthy people, the trap is set by deliberately leaving a wallet out on the table. Once the bandit takes it, Claude will apprehend them. Claude is furious that someone would steal from Hibiki, and he vows to never forgive them. Hibiki wonders if the plan will even work, and Lillian says that it's all really exciting. Up in the heavens, the god of magic still can't shake the feeling that she has seen Hibiki somewhere before. Just then, the food arrives, and it's a beautiful honey pancake. Hibiki and Lillian are amazed, and they almost don't want to eat it. Suddenly, Claude declares that they have been had because the waitress is the thief. Hibiki freaks out as he only now realizes that the wallet was stolen. Nearby, the waitress declares that it was too easy as she makes her escape. Our heroes chase after her, and we see that they're following the trail that the wallet is leaving behind. It turns out that the real plan was to use that marker fruit from earlier inside the fake wallet. Lillian's sad that she didn't get to finish her pancakes, so Hibiki promises that they will get more once they get the money back. They follow the thief's trail, and it leads them underground, where there's a secret club of some kind. There are all sorts of shady characters down here, and Hibiki can't believe his eyes. Claude says that this seems like a perfect place for a criminal to hide, so they look around. A guy tries to woo Hibiki, so Hibiki has to turn him down. Just then, Claude pulls Hibiki aside and asks him to appraise the stats of a hooded person nearby that has a tail. Moments later, our heroes confront the girl. She asks if there's something she can do for them, so Hibiki gets right to the point. He tells her to give back what she stole. She plays dumb, so Hibiki tells her that he knows what she did, and the reason he knows is because he's an appraiser. He adds the word provisional after saying it, and the hooded figure mocks him. Claude jumps to Hibiki's defense and says that his appraisals are always accurate. Lillian tells the bandit to just accept her fate. Hibiki then reveals everything he saw in the appraisal. This person is the wanted half-beast man bandit with the tail transformation skill. The bandit pulls back her hood and reveals herself. Her name is Fauna, and she says that the cat is out of the bag. She proudly introduces herself as the bandit with the world's most beautiful tail. Claude is amazed, and Hibiki wonders if he knows her. Claude explains that tail transformation is a very rare skill among beastmen. Fauna tells them that she's aware that they tried to capture her with a dummy purse, but it was already too late. She had taken the real one much earlier, and the fake wallet she stole from Hibiki at the restaurant was the decoy. This means that Hibiki's real money is already gone. Their paltry funds have been completely wiped out, and Hibiki's devastated. Fauna reveals that she lured them into the underground club on purpose, and she tells them that that's what they get for trying to set a trap for her. She sets off a trap to crash on Hibiki, so Claude has to rescue him. Our heroes are separated, so Claude tells Hibiki to go after Fauna. Hibiki chases after her, but Fauna thinks he got caught too easily after he falls into another trap. Fauna reveals that she's an expert at laying traps, and she has plenty waiting for him. Hibiki's now stuck, and he wonders how he's going to get out of this. Fauna mocks him by pointing out that it's unbelievable that an appraiser would fall for something like this. As Fauna prepares to leave, she notices that Hibiki is actually a boy. She's surprised, and she wonders why he's dressed as a girl. Hibiki explains that it was to catch her, but Fauna quickly points out that it doesn't really make sense for him to be dressed as a woman just because the bandit targets wealthy people. Hibiki thinks about it and realizes that she's absolutely right. Fauna says that Hibiki is pretty interesting, so she wouldn't mind helping him. She offers to help him down, but she has one condition. There is something that she wants him to appraise for her. Hibiki wonders if she wants him to appraise stolen goods, and Fauna says that she only cares about real items. They go somewhere, and Fauna pulls out a colored gemstone first. The appraisal reveals it to be a highly pure gemstone and an ornament that has been passed down the female line of a distinguished family. Fauna is pleased and determines that it's real. She then shows him some stones that she thought might be pearls, but Hibiki reveals that they're just ordinary stones picked from a field that happen to look like pearls. Fauna is disappointed this time to hear that they are fake. Next, she shows him a silver dagger, and the appraisal reveals that it was made for ceremonial purposes, so it doesn't cut well. Fauna says that it could go for a good amount if it's sold in the right place. She's also impressed by how accurate his appraisals are. Then she shows him one last item, and this one feels different from the rest. It's a wooden bracelet, and it doesn't seem particularly valuable. The appraisal reveals that it has a pattern that has been loved by beastmen since ancient times. It's a token of blessing or deep affection, and the message attached to it says Diana's message. Things get very serious as Fauna wonders what else it says. It says, "Thank you, Oni-chan," and Fauna's completely stunned. She wonders if there's anything else, but Hibiki says that that's all. Fauna is quiet for a moment, and then she reveals the truth. The bracelet belongs to her, and her little sister gave it to her. It has writing on it that she always wanted to understand, but she was never able to read it. She has shown it to so many appraisers before, but none of them were ever able to help her. It makes sense because her sister never actually learned how to write, yet somehow Hibiki managed to appraise it anyway. She wonders if he didn't appraise the writing itself, but rather the emotion that her sister put into it. Hibiki then asks Fauna if her sister knows that she's a thief. Fauna goes quiet again, and she reveals that her sister died. She got mixed up in a battle back home, and that was it. Fauna then turns the conversation around and asks where Hibiki is from. Hibiki of course hides his secret and simply says that it's a place very far away. Fauna tells him that if he has a home to go back to, then he should go back to it. She lost hers, and she will never be able to go back again. She also points out that one of Hibiki's companions is a beastman, and if he came from the same place she's come from, then he surely also has a painful past. After a moment of silence, Fauna gives Hibiki his money back. She says that his appraisals were spot on, and she calls him Provisional Appraiser-san one more time. She tells him that she hopes that they get to meet again, and she gives him a kiss. She says that she looks forward to seeing him in girls' clothes again, and she leaves. Back at the inn, Tanya struggles to get Fauna's lipstick off of Hibiki's face. Balls laughs and says that maybe this counts as climbing another step towards adulthood. Balls then tells him something he heard from the Adventurers Guild in the capital. There's a new, young, and energetic party that's leveling up at an astonishing speed. The king has tasked them with vanquishing the undead, and they call themselves the Corpse Killers. Hibiki thinks that the name is kind of weird, and he wonders what an undead even is. Claude explains that undead refers to a type of monster that has died, but still moves as if it's alive. Hibiki's horrified, and he immediately thinks of zombies. Balls adds that this other party seems to be on a journey from west to east, and they might come to this country one day. Hibiki worries that this means that there might be some undead around here as well. Balls says that he will be fine as long as he has some muscle. Afterwards, Hibiki says that the world sure is a big place. Claude wonders what he means, so Hibiki says that he feels like he ran into so many new things today. Claude agrees and says that he will feel that even more strongly if he goes on a journey. This gives Hibiki an idea, so he says that he wants to go on a journey and meet all sorts of people. Claude asks what kind of people, and Hibiki says that he wants to meet someone really knowledgeable. Claude determines that he means something like a sage. Claude explains that the only sages still active are the sages of the three worlds who have reigned for over 500 years. Claude then asks why Hibiki wishes to meet the sages, and our hero is honest with them. He declares that he wants to return to his own world. This hits the others really hard, and Lillian gets teary-eyed as she realizes what going home means. It simply means that Hibiki would go away. Hibiki never stopped to think about it, but he now realizes that it means saying goodbye to the people here. Hibiki tries to explain himself, but Claude steps in. He tells Lillian that Hibiki never asked to come to this world. He's a wanderer from another world, and it's only natural that he would want to return. Lillian understands, and Claude turns back to Hibiki. He tells him not to worry about anything, and he vows to protect him until that day comes. Meanwhile, Amalia and Ivel are walking, and Amalia says that the people from her homeland will be coming to meet them soon. She knows this because the spirits of the forest told her so. Ivel says that sounds convenient, so Amalia explains that the spirits only answer the questions she asks. This reminds her that one time, a spirit spoke to her first, which was very unusual. It told her that to the east, something precious had been dropped there. Ivo suddenly becomes very interested, and she asks where this happened. Amalia reveals that it was in the forest of Roel. Ivo goes quiet and then tells Amalia that she just remembered something she has to do. She says goodbye out of nowhere and heads off. Deep down, Ivo's really happy because this is her first clue. If that voice wasn't the voice of a spirit, then it was likely the soul that she's been looking for. She's frustrated though, because that means that the trail started back in Rowell, where her entire journey began. Thanks for watching my recap. Make sure to like the video.